This Circuit of the Americas 2024 betting recap edition of the NASCAR Gambling Podcast here on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by Cut. Cut is a peer-to-peer social betting platform that's U.S.-based and available in 40 states. Head to cut.com, that's KUTT.com, and use promo code SGPN for a 10% deposit bonus. We're also brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Play their fantasy pick'em for a chance to win 100x in NBA, NHL, college basketball, NASCAR, F1, and more. Sign up today using promo code RACESGPN to get a 100% deposit match. We're also brought to you by Hall of Fame Bets, the sports betting research platform for parlays, player props, and game lines. Download the Hall of Fame Bets app or visit hofbets.com and use code SGPN to get 50% off of your first month and start making smarter bets today.
Driver, start your engine!
Strap in and pull those belts up tight as the Sports Gambling Podcast Network presents the NASCAR Gambling Podcast.
I'll wreck my mom to win a championship. I'll wreck your mom to win a championship.
With all the news and the best bets for your NASCAR weekend.
It refrains me from not beating the out of you right now because you ask me stupid questions. But since I'm on probation, I suppose that's improper to say as well. If you could talk about racing things, we could talk about racing things.
Now, here are your hosts, Rod Villagomez and Cody Zeeb.
And boy, do we have racing things to talk about. It is, of course, the NASCAR Gambling Podcast here on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. He's Cody Zeeb. I'm Rod Villagomez. Okay, first and foremost, I just want to go on record by saying, first, if you're watching on YouTube, my name is Rod Neutral Party Villagomez, and I'm going to approach this episode with a lot of soft gloves on there. It's crazy. My brother already checking into the chat saying, didn't think I'd see you tomorrow. We do Sunday shows when the need suits us. We do them, Cody.
Yes, Rod. This was a very important one. I have prepared a statement that I would like to read on the air. I would like to apologize to absolutely fucking nobody because I was right. Fuck all of you. SVG sucks. He's the worst driver ever to race a NASCAR car. And we cashed all of our bets against him. I'm rich now. I don't even need to be on this show anymore. Have a great day. Oh, just kidding. Okay. I don't really mean most of that other than the part that I was right. We'll get into it as we recap it, obviously. But I got to say, Rod, we were pretty spot on this weekend.
So Does Flacco checking in saying, cheers, boys. I will go on record, and I hope, and listen, I know that things got like, if you're not in our Discord, first of all, shame on you because don't turn this off if you've made it this far. Okay. I know we're only 4 minutes into this, but there was a lot of fun had in the Discord over the weekend. I've reached out to two of the parties involved in direct messages and have told them there's no hard feelings, of course. And maybe it goes over people's heads. Maybe they're not listening, but like SVG, and we're going to talk about it when we get into the Saturday thing, like fucking impressed the shit out of me. I got lucky with a late caution, which, yes, was part of the handicap of chaos can happen, and it did happen, and he ends up making a mistake on the last lap, which was part of the entire handicap of going against him. But overly impressive, like probably going to win an Xfinity Series road course this year. So, I mean, again, he's very talented. He's very, very good driver. And I've never argued that. The argument has always been and probably will continue to remain, he's way overvalued and the price is no good. And that's where the problem is. He's matched up against guys he shouldn't be in the Cup Series specifically. Again, we'll talk about that as we get into those bets. But overly talented, yes. Is he going to be a great road course racer in the Cup Series right away? we're 0 for 2 at seeing that, Rod, because he didn't do that great at Indy. He didn't do. I know he had issues late, but before he had issues late, he didn't do shit early in this race. So I think that it's going to be a conversation that's going to continue to go. Obviously, a lot of people have different types of feelings on it. It made us money this weekend. Some of it was by luck, which, look, how many times has cardboard been on the track and we get fucked late? And you know, we end up on both sides of it. So that's how it goes. We'll talk about it more, but I had to start the show off for those that are in the Discord. If you're not in the Discord, again, if you don't even know what Discord is, it's just like a messaging app, a group app where we can all hang out, have a lot of fun. And holy shit, we cashed some bets in there today, Rod. There was a few people that brought up some. There was a Clint Boyer special on one. I don't remember which app it was on, but it had a couple of guys and it was a great number. And we're like, yes, do this. And other people got in on it. It cashed. I was talking about this morning to, oh, JDK, if you missed it, just go ahead and rewind right now and you can speed back up and catch it later because I need you to hear the first part of this. But yeah, I mean, like we were talking this morning, like I was talking to AJ Allmendinger, top 10 was like even money plus 120 a few places. That was my favorite bet. And that one went out there. FanDuel, Stephen Williams pointing out that was the place for the Clint Boyer one. But yeah, it's a great place to be. All you got to do is type in sg.pn/Discord. You can get over there. You can scroll through a weekend full of fun and excitement and bet cashing too, because that's what it's all about.
Indeed. Yeah, Nick. So there it is. You can Discord by going to sg.pn/Discord, sign up for Discord and then search for the NASCAR channel. And tell you what, like you said, you're going to have, get your popcorn ready because there's a ton of good stuff.
And yeah, again, a weekend full of going back and forth and having some fun arguments and poking fun. And that was all fun and games. But like really the point of the Discord is to have the conversation and to have Discord, right? About the bets. And it was very, very positive this week. And a lot of people helped other people in there, not just us. I mean, we'll offer our opinions too, but getting other people's opinions on stuff sways people and whatnot. And a lot of people cash bets because of it.
Yeah, and honestly too, the thing about it too, and I didn't try to step in too much because I don't want to, I don't want to be the dad of the place. But what I will say is that I hope we all understand, and especially for those of us in the Discord, that when we're in there and things get heated, take a step back because I didn't realize. Look at, and I said it in the Discord, I didn't realize that SVG would be as divisive as American politics at the dinner table at Thanksgiving. I didn't know. I didn't know the dude was going to have a cataclysmic effect on everybody's weekend. But here we are with SGV on we got people dug in on both sides of the fence. But here, I'll say this in closing of just the prelude to what we're going to talk about later on as far as the bets are concerned. I hope we all understand that when things get heated like that the crowd in the Discord, the crowd around this entire place can take a nice step back, take a deep breath, and come back at it next weekend. Because nobody is trying, and what I love is that nobody's really hurling insults at each other. That's the good part about it. Nobody was coming at each other with like, being that bad. But it was all intense conversation, which is the life force of society. And I hope that we all just know that at the end of the day, we're all just trying to win each other money.
Yeah,
and
it's
fun.
That's the big part. Like again, I don't hate the guy. I want to see him succeed. I just felt like this weekend we were going to make money going against him. Again, took a little bit of luck to get it, but it worked. We made some money, and that's what it's all about. So it was a lot of fun. And yeah, maybe he'll win this weekend at Richmond and shut everybody up. Who knows?
Well, nobody complains when the little bit of luck wins them money. It's always when the little bit of luck costs them money. So you got to love that. All right, listen. So here's what we do. We're going to break down the cup race because that happened first and it just happened. So we've got it fresh on our mind. So we will do that. But first, I would very much like to tell you about Cut, because this is where we could take all of those other bets that we can't find on the books straight to Cut. We could put all of our money where our mouths. The next road course, we should have a nice little lump of all these bets, and maybe we can all put to rest and say who's the best. So Cut's the peer-to-peer social betting platform that's U.S.-based and available in 40 states. It's a peer-to-peer social betting. It's a new and better way to bet. You can bet directly against your friends or other users, not just on sports, but politics, pop culture, and any other event, so long as it's got a verifiable outcome. Plus, there's tons of fun social features that give it the feel of a betting social network. Cut also offers the lowest VIG and has fully customizable odds, so you can create your own bets. Cut handles the payment side of things too, so you never got to chase anyone down for money ever again. It's got social features like group chats, betting leaderboards, head-to-head history, user profiles, fan groups, and so much more, including rewards. Get cash back every single time you bet against your friends or other users. Cody's got some futures up there too. I'm thinking there's some Kyle Busch futures up there on Cut, so you might as well jump on that as well. Download Cut today in the App Store or over at cut.com. That's KUTT.com. Use promo code SGPN for a 10% deposit bonus. Our underdog fantasy picks did pretty damn well this weekend. A lot of good hits. I know that some folks in the Discord were cashing and playing and winning on underdog fantasy this weekend. So you need to get in on it too. All you got to do is pick better than or worse than the finishing position for a driver in racing, or you can go and find some other sports and higher or lower than the projected stats. And you just watch that multiplier stack up as you put the picks together. You can actually win up to 100x on your entry if you find those spicy chilies. Get that multiplier all the way up to where you can win 100x. It's so much fun. Look, sign up today with the promo code RACESGPN. You're going to get your first deposit double up to $100, as well as an instant pick'em special. Visit underdogfantasy.com or find them in the App Store. And don't forget to register with our promo code RACESGPN. You get that first deposit double up to $100, as well as that instant pick'em special. Must be 18 or older and present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. Concerned with your play? Call 1-800-522-4700 or visit www.ncpgambling.org. All right. I look, it feels like a year ago that this race ended, because there's so much that has happened between now and then. But we just literally, it's this Sunday, and as you're listening to this Monday, obviously it happened a few hours ago. But I know there was a lot of folks in the Discord saying that this was kind of a boring race, and I almost feel like it's only boring because their bets weren't cashing. But here's the thing: for me, I actually enjoyed the complexity of what no cautions gives you, because the cautions, I know that we love to see it, because then it kind of bunches the field back up, and maybe bets that weren't cashing before could cash because of this. But honestly, the best drivers shine. And I think Christopher Bell even said it the best. You know, you get to see who the best drivers are when you don't have the help of a caution, right? And like I said, I know it's all strung out and whatever, but there was still stuff to be paying attention. There was still pit strategies. There was still people getting messed up in the back. There was still all kinds of crazy stuff that was going on that made this a very interesting race. And yes, Steven, your daughter was absolutely right in picking William Byron and that Raptor car.
Her paint scheme picks pay off again. It's seriously need to get her on and make her paint scheme picks weekly, because she does pretty good. But yeah, I thought it was an exciting race. I think that you look at it, and this was the argument for not having stage cautions, Rod, because we ended up with a bunch of different guys on different strategies, different things going on, looking to catch a caution here, looking to catch a caution there. And we still had the cautions for the stages, obviously, but those were the only cautions. There was no other, things in there that caused cautions, no natural cautions besides those. So that's what kind of kept it bunched up. But would have been interesting to see had it gone green the whole time, and we had green flag pit stops, and we didn't have the straight stage strategy panning out into it. I don't know. I thought it would have been interesting for the people that didn't think it was that exciting. Like, there's kind of two ways this goes. It goes like it went, or you end up with multiple overtimes like last year, like the Xfinity race, where it ends up being kind of a disaster at the end, right? Like, is that what we want out of these races? Is that chaos at the end? No, for some of our bets, it maybe wouldn't be so bad, right? It worked out okay for us in Xfinity, and almost really good as Austin Hill almost won the race. But I don't know. It's got its goods and bads, but I enjoyed it. I thought it was a great race. And man, William Byron, okay, he's one of the best drivers in the series. Like, he ain't going nowhere. First multi-time winner this season. Like, he's the guy that's going to be on the favorites list every week now, and we're gonna have to pay attention to him, because he's officially here, Rod. I mean, if we didn't figure that out with 6 wins last season, already having 2, what are we, 6 races into this year? Like, okay, he ain't fucking around. Like, he's really good and performed well today. I mean, really, for the most part, led wire to wire. I mean, obviously didn't have the lead the whole time, but started on the pole, led a majority of the race. So, yeah, there is some excitement, obviously, to having overtime finishes and whatnot, but I thought this was a good race.
Yeah, and it's definitely big hat season for us out there and William Byron. And listen, for me, it's this. I know, again, we love the fact that cautions give us an opportunity to get everybody back together again. But I'm not a guy that actively cheers too much for cautions. I mean, I'll joke and say, "Oh yeah, give me a caution," but it's just such a waste of time. It's such a waste.
I was actively cheering for a caution at one
No, I
point
know
this
you were,
weekend.
but I'm just saying it just feels like a waste of everything, and so what I do enjoy though, and I really appreciate NASCAR and COTA in general, is moving that restart zone back. Oh my God, that made they speculated that it would make this turn one situation a lot better, and boy did it ever. Was there some hairy moments? Yeah.
We still saw some. Yeah, I mean, Byron, even on that last restart, for the last stage, kind of checked it a little too hard into there and lost the lead for a minute. But obviously, he comes and gets it back. But yeah, I thought it was a great race. I think this is an exciting track. I think that again, it's another way to change it up, another way to be different. It was exciting racing. There was still storylines. I know that Byron led a lot of the race, but Bell again kind of running him down towards the end. If he'd had a little more time, we get that late caution and his tires are fresh. Like, oh man, it could have been crazy. So yeah, but I thought overall it was a good race, and no complaints from me there.
Yeah, I wholeheartedly agree with you. So all right, so let's do this. Let's talk about the bets then. Let's talk about what we had going on for this race at COTA. Cody, why don't you start off with your card? We'll get to the chat because the chat sort of flows with what we're going to talk about. So
the chat is it is going off, but love it. I had tossed out a couple of pole bets with Daniel Suarez plus 750. He ended up not hitting. I did toss out that I wanted Denny Hamlin on the show, but his odds were really low. Then they adjusted the odds after the show, so I tossed out in Discord, take him at 15-1. He ended up making it to the final group, so we had a chance there, but obviously William Byron gets it done. So those pole bets did not cash. Daniel Suarez, top 10, minus 110. Rod, was Daniel Suarez in this race?
Actually, Switch asked the same. Where was Daniel Suarez?
Where was he actually in it? Yeah. I'm also asking the same question, Switch, because no fucking idea. He did not show up. I'm very disappointed. Not a guy that I've typically been on in the past. Really liked him this week. I thought it was a good spot for him based on his history here and how good he's been. And I mean, he was out to lunch. I don't know what the deal was there. But yeah, Steven, SVG, Suarez were holding hands. Steven, of course, is one of my state-run propaganda friends that helps push this deal. And JB chiming in says he got a penalty. He might have got a penalty, but he wasn't doing shit before the penalty. So I don't know. This was just a big miss. He was still in the booth. Daniel Suarez, one of my favorite booth personalities of the drivers. Down. Like he's so good, and him and Joey go really well. So I enjoy when they're in there together. But yeah, unfortunately, just a big miss on mi amigo here. So I'll have to rethink ever betting on him again. I mean, I'll have to. Yeah, I don't know. This one was just a big miss.
Daniel Suarez, no más tu amigo. So
now, Mr. Neutral, what was your first bet here?
All right, I want to go to JDK's comment because this kind of folds into what I'm saying because he's about to say something else too. He went back. We'll talk Xfinity, okay? We'll talk Xfinity, JK. And then in the Cup, JDK says that my next guy did as well as almost all the shitty Kyle Larson, and Kyle had full transmission, top tier equipment. And Elliott's the most overrated road racer in Cup Series, proven wrong. Okay, so my first bet involves both of those guys. It had Chase Elliott over SVG, and I took the Elliott side of this at minus 120. And my whole thing was this, again, and I said it too. I did not say that SVG was going to have a terrible finish. I did not say he was going to have a bad day. My only argument was that Elliott was going to have a better day. And it didn't matter to me how it happened. It didn't matter if that dude, if Jesus H. Christ finished third, so long as Elliott finished second, I didn't care. Like, to me, I wasn't saying that SVG was not going to be at least a contender at some point in this race. I mean, we never.
I also said he was never going to be. I thought he would be a top 10.
I swear to God, if we go back and listen, I want to cut this clip out. I didn't do it today because I just, with all the heat of battle going on, I was just like, we need to take a step back. But the thing that's to me, I want to go back and listen to see exactly what we said, because I honestly said Elliott's going to have a better day. And granted, Elliott had a shitty day, but so did SVG. Elliott had a little bit of a better shitty day than did. And Elliott, got spun out there at the end, which I thought
spun out twice.
I
and
thought
he had
that bad.
He had a penalty at once where he had to do a drive through that, really, because he was running sixth place when he had that penalty. Which
luckily for him, though, he got that penalty, but he drove through and he just took 4 tires and flipped himself. Like he took the 4 tires. He didn't drive
did
through.
Because I didn't think
he did a full pit stop.
I don't think you could service the car when you're serving a penalty.
I think maybe
Sure
I don't know.
But I don't know. I missed up. I was out to dinner near the end of the race, so I was watching on my phone while we were eating dinner with the family. So I didn't quite catch everything.
Good thing SVG was down a gear so Suarez could keep up. And honestly, see, again, that was out of his control. So I can't, I mean, if that were a driver that I was betting on and that happened, I would be pissed off too. I mean, we're not saying SVG is bad. All we were saying was that we just did not think that he was going to finish well in this particular race because of 1.5 million different factors, right? This
is shout out to my friend Dos Flacos, who's in the chat for this thing. We got a second penalty for getting gas during his drive-through like a dummy, is what Dos Flacos says.
I told you he stopped.
See, there you go. And courtesy of Dos Flacos, SVG was in the top 10 for a total of 3 laps before he had this transmission issue. So it's not like he was running great before that anyway.
Oh, and even still, that was because of pit strategies too, because that was at the end of the stage. So everybody that had pitted beforehand
was cycling. So and to his point also, do cars have more mechanical issues with Kaulig? 1,000,000%, which is another part. And I got to go back and listen to Tuesday, and I kind of want to just to see what all I said, but I feel like that's something I mentioned. Let's keep in mind, he's in a Kaulig car. How many times have we seen AJ Allmendinger, who's probably the best road course, this got contentious too, but probably the best road course racer in NASCAR, has had so many times where it's been problem after problem after this after problem after this, and things happen. So again, we don't need to beat the dead horse of the SVG thing anymore, but Elliott was outrunning him throughout the entire day, so this was the correct call on your part. Correct call on my part, Rod. I had AJ Allmendinger to win Group G over on Caesars. This was plus 320, and it was over Kyle Larson, SVG, and Martin Truex. We've obviously already covered the SVG part of things. AJ Allmendinger very quietly, a 6th place run. I mean, he just kind of lurked all day. I mean, he was never really a contender. We never thought he was going to win this race. Never thought he was going to be the fastest car or anything like that. But just doing his thing, hanging out there, and gets a solid finish like AJ does. That's exactly what we're looking for. Truex, 10th place, not a bad day for him. Larson had his fair share of issues as well. He got spun around multiple times, I believe. Ends up 17th, right behind Chase Elliott there. And then obviously SVG ends up in 20th. So, which again, 20th place for missing a gear, and not just missing a gear, missing first gear on a road course. Holding on and finishing 20th place is very impressive with all of those things going on. So shout out to him for that. But AJ Allmendinger did cash this group at plus 320. So yes, that was one of the nice bets to hit.
Yeah. I'm just going to, I had Dinger to win, so I'll even jump ahead that far because I'm going to talk about AJ for a second. For him, it was just a weird race for him. Like you said, he was there. I mean, he was 13th place for a while, and then, he was back up into the top 10 and he was in the top 5 for a second and then fell out. But it felt like a weird AJ Allmendinger type of a race. Like he should have been able to compete, but for whatever reason, he didn't have that he didn't have it. He didn't have the pace like everybody else had. He's got the talent, he's got the technicality. But once again, he's a driver that's got the talent, that should be winning a race, that should be in the contention, and not for whatever reason. Again, it happens to the best of them. AJ, you cannot argue that AJ does not have the sheer talent as a road course racer. You cannot argue that. And I will just say right now that obviously he's the best one in Xfinity, hands down. Still, it doesn't matter who comes in and does anything. He's still the best because the numbers back it up. So for him to have problems, That's just part of racing. And that's when we talk about how we handicap things, we always give you the statistical backings for what we're talking about, but we also always give you the angle of, but listen, we also understand that we watch these guys do these things, and we'll tell you if they're on a bad run. Maybe their numbers are great for 4 races in a row, but hey, listen, we've seen lately that this isn't necessarily what you need to look out for. So there's always that human element of it as well, that numbers
Well,
just
numbers aren't always the full story. Sometimes AJ Allmendinger has 230 plus finishes at this track, but not because that's where he was running all day, right? And that's part of it. So numbers are great, and we love numbers, but it's not always just about the numbers. So I think that's important to point out.
Yeah. All right. Speaking of numbers, I had Ross Chastain over Chris Buescher, and for the love of God, this was going well for so very long. Chris Buescher was not even anywhere near the top 10 for a majority of this race. Sneaks up to an 8th place finish, which in and of itself would be like, okay, that's great. Good job, Chris Buescher. But for the most of the race, this would have been easily cleared by Ross Chastain. But guess what? Bookmakers did it again. Ross Chastain finishes 7th. Chris Buescher finishes 8th. One position. I'm glad I did not take a spread on this one because that would have killed us. But yeah, Ross Chastain did finish better than Chris Buescher. And look, this is another instance where Ross Chastain got screwed by his pit crew. 3 extra seconds on pit road cost him the lead. And even maybe even a top 3 finish like I had him for as well. Because what Ross Chastain was leading, right? Ross Chastain was a top 3 car pretty much most of the second part of that stage up until that pit stop that really screwed him. But I mean, this one should not have been a sweat whatsoever. Like this, I was watching the last part. I was watching Chris Buescher was like 3 seconds behind Ross Chastain. I was like, God damn, please don't.
Chris Buescher, though, like, what is he like? I think this is like 11 for 12 or 12 for 13 top 10s in the last 13 road court. Like, incredible how he always, and he like starts dead or, at the back because he goes to the back. Like, everything still ends up there.
Yeah, it was a great run for Chris Buescher. So hats off to him for having a day that just kind of worked his way up through the field. But thank God Ross Chastain hit that bet. I'm a little pissed off that he lost that top 3 spot because that was a 3.5 to 1 was a great call for that one. But unfortunately, see, that's what I'm saying. Ross Chastain was a top 3 car all day long. He has the talent to be a top 3 car, but out of his control. And there he finishes in 7th. Doesn't catch this bet.
Yeah, exactly. I had Alex Bowman, Rod, top 10 finish, plus 125. Kicking myself a little bit because originally I had him in the document at a top 5 finish, and then I chickened out because it's Alex Bowman, and for some reason he's hard to trust. But Alex Bowman is just fucking good at COTA. Like, and I think it was brought up in the Discord about they're not going to sleep on him again next year, and somebody said by then they might, and I hope they do because Alex Bowman just has this track figured out. Another guy that didn't start well. He started like 17th, I think. Comes to the field, cashes the top 10 at plus 125. I know some people out there took his top 5 as well, so props to you. I was also pressured into betting Austin Cindric top 10 during the live show on Tuesday. Thanks, Trial of a Life. Looking at you. No, I'm just kidding. I was on the borderline already, so I had added that one. Unfortunately, Cindric had a rough day. I mean, you really didn't get a chance to see what he had. He got damage very early. I mean, there was, what was that, like lap 1 or lap 2 where LaJoy and Bubba got together? I need to go back and look at that again. I don't even really know what happened there. But Cindric's car was destroyed. He holds on for 18th place at the end of the day. So shout out to him for nursing that bad boy around for the rest of the entire race and ending up with a decent finish. So unfortunately, he doesn't cash. But Alex Bowman, just money for Alex Bowman at COTA. He is damn good here. I believe that's now, is that 4 for 4 in the top 5 for Alex Bowman?
I think it is. Yeah. That's what it was. That's why we were talking about it for DFS too.
Yeah, pretty crazy.
Yeah. JDK said that he was so mad he had Chastain outright top Chevy twice as well as top 5. Yeah, that was a rough run for that one.
Yeah, and you got screwed on all those. I also had the Chastain outright. I was starting to feel good when he took that lead late from Byron there. I'm like, all right, things are looking good. Then that pit stop was just, that was like watching Valtteri Bottas try to pit in F1.
6 years in the pit lane. Yeah,
fucking brutal.
Stationary for like 6 years. So okay, I had Bubba Wallace as a top 10 car. Looked good for a second, right? He started out 10th, we're like, all right, man, this may be Bubba Wallace's day. And
That was the 1 second that it looked good for.
that was literally the 1 second. Then the green flag dropped and all hell broke loose. But I will say, good on him to finish 15th, right? That's something that he was in the back. I mean, he was in the 20s, the low 20s for a while after that.
Well, yeah, and he
was dead last, actually.
Yeah, well, he was involved in that first lap. LaJoy,
Yeah.
It was LaJoy, Bubba, Truex, Cindric, and yeah, like Steven said, LaJoy knocked out Martin Truex and Cindric. That's what I'm saying. I know that's what happened, but I want to go back and watch it and see what actually like sparked all of that, because I don't know. It was just I was doing something else, and all of a sudden it was like, oh, there they go, and everybody's wrecking, and I'm like, oh shit, I haven't even had a chance to settle in here yet. But just crazy. So maybe Bubba would have had a better chance here. I don't know. I was not a believer in this one, but he ended up running pretty good for the circumstances he was put in.
Yeah. Rod King says, Rod, you should take Larson to Talladega next. Hey, shut up. I might.
Hey, Rod, he's got one career top 5, his only career top 5 at Talladega in the super speedways. So
laugh all you want, King. Okay, fine. This is going to be the new SVG, and we're going to talk Larson at Talladega. I'm going to get heated about it. Just kidding.
Yeah, see, how come nobody hates on me when I hate on Larson? Because it's whatever. Anyways,
it's
moving on, Rod, to King's favorite driver. And King, actually, I wanted to highlight the comment he had earlier. Forget talking about his first win. The conversation should move to 54 being a legit title contender. You are not wrong, my friend. We may need to pay attention to what those championship odds are sitting at, because if they're north of 10-1, I mean, he's like 5 points out of first place now. I believe he's second place in the standings after this weekend, and like he is fucking looking so goddamn good. Like, I hate it because we're not going to be able to bet on him at Richmond next week, where I think he could get his first win, because his odds are going to be just trash because he's been so good, which we've been telling you for a while was going to happen. Another just great run by Ty Gibbs. I was so sad when Christopher Bell got him late in this race, Rod, because I had him as the top Toyota plus 550. Out the window. Thanks a lot, Christopher Bell. But I feel like this was a good bet. Again, it was kind of a, Tyler Reddick should be up here, but just in case he's not as good as he has been, which we'll get into in a minute, and he was not. Man, this one really could have been Ty Gibbs' bet to cash. You unfortunately stole my Ty Gibbs bet, which cashed. So I did back you on that one. But also, I had tossed out the top Ford bets. These were darts prepping for chaos, right? And chaos was something you were going to need. Chaos, not something we got with no cautions. So these were nowhere close to cashing. I had Noah Gragson at 25-1, Todd Gilliland 30, or rather, other way around. Gilliland 25-1, Gragson 30-1. Gilliland ends up 26th, Gragson 34th. But again, like the entire, apparently, you're not allowed to handicap for chaos. That's what I've been told. So I guess maybe I should have rethought these bets, but that was what these bets were. They needed chaos. You needed 4 overtimes. You needed cardboard late. And that didn't happen. So these ones were just dead in the water with having no chaos. I would place these again because I think in a chaos situation, they might have had a better chance, and unfortunately just didn't happen. So
come on,
that's
Cody.
how it goes.
We're both military vets. We know that you can't have just one plan of attack. You got to have something when everything breaks down, and you
got to have a plan for when shit hits the fan, Rod.
Yep, for when everything goes wrong, and you're like, ah. Steven saying, want to piss someone off? Say something nice about Hamlin. That's for sure. And then my brother saying a Ty Gibbs title might make him turn off NASCAR for good. Wow.
If he gets his first one this year, move over 7 times, because Ty Gibbs be coming for that title real quick.
Yeah, no, I'm good with that.
Yeah.
Let's
King, if you hate seeing him be successful, might want to find a new hobby for the next 20 plus years. Like he's the next coming. So
good thing my brother's got hockey. He's
better
got
just get used to it.
We're good for that. All right, so you, like you said, I stole your next bet at Gibbs top 5 at plus 200. So I mean, that was a no doubter all day long. There's a couple points in there where you're like, man, but I really needed Chastain and Gibbs to flip spots at certain points, because Chastain was 5th Chastain was 4th, Gibbs was third. And I was like, can we just kind of flip this around?
You almost did it again, Rod, where you got him backwards on the top 3, top 5.
I was gonna be so pissed off at that one, but yeah. I mean, again, so here's the thing. I mean, honestly, there's not much more we can say about him because we've talked about him. We talked about him in the Xfinity series. We talked about how great he was going to be when he came up here, and he's starting to show it. I mean, the rookie season was what he needed, you know. So that's really where he's getting settled in, and I think we're going to see it. Like you said, the numbers. I feel like we're not going to get what we want. We're going to be robbed on these because the books are take notice. So maybe we should just shut up about Ty. Ty's so horrible.
Oh no.
He's bad.
Oh yeah. He's really bad, Rod.
He can't get around Richmond.
He's gonna be real bad next week. So just price him at like 20-1. It'll be fine.
Yeah, we're just good at that. Hold on. I got one thing I've got to interject before we get to the rest of our bets, which is telling you about Hall of Fame bets. Win bigger by betting smarter this NBA season with Hall of Fame bets, the sports betting analytics platform for parlays, player props, and game lines. Research every NBA and soccer bet with historical stats and data. Enter any parlay idea into Hall of Fame bets revolutionary parlay optimizer tool to get hit rates broken down by leg, as well as an expected probability for the entire parlay. Sort all players by hit rate for any bet to learn which players are hot and which picks have value. Stop betting in the dark. Join over 30,000 users researching with Hall of Fame bets to craft more intelligent, data-driven parlays. Download the Hall of Fame Bets app or visit hofbets.com. Use code SGPN to get 50% off of your first month today. Start researching, start winning with Hall of Fame Bets. All right. So, yeah. That next up for you, my friend. What did Cody do to you? Cody, why don't you sit on Santa's lap and tell everyone what Cody did to you?
Rod, we tried to ride the Kyle Busch car lift. And we got on the lift. It started to go up, and then it stopped. So we cashed his top 10 at minus 120. Unfortunately, that was the end of the car lift. So I don't know. I thought that he's been so fucking good on road courses lately, and I thought it was going to come through here, and it just didn't. I don't know. Richmond, I think, will be telling next week. Because maybe we'll get more answers on are they just bad? I don't know. He wasn't doing bad. Like Christopher Bell booted him late. Obviously, then they kind of exchanged some words after.
Christopher Bell needed the car lift to see up to Kyle Busch at that point, though.
Yeah. Did you see? I mean, he really did look like he shit his pants when Kyle was coming over. Like,
the look on
probably not the guy in the garage you want coming after you as Kyle
Not
Busch,
the way he was walking up. No way.
No. Yeah. So. But I don't know. I mean, he holds on for 9th, which obviously still cashes the top 10. But I was hoping for some more.
Yeah, he was hoping for some more. But he had those problems anyways. Like Kyle Busch had problems all day long. The fact that he was even in contention for any of that let Bell look like he wanted to cry. Yeah, it was bad. Yeah, and JDK. Yeah, if you want to see the video, JDK, everybody pretty much posted that in the Discord of him walking it up.
Are you gonna stand in front of Kyle Busch, Steven? Nobody attempted to stop KFB either. Like, yeah, I don't know that I would want to be the one that would want to do it.
Yeah. My brother says was gonna watch the race with me today, but totally lost his rear end housing. Woo! That was
save that for the truck part. We're getting
or the truck race. Yeah, that's crazy. All right. So yeah, the Kyle Busch that thing kind of broke and it broke early. And while it got lifted to 10th, that was the extent of the lift. This next one, I would have walked up to C Bell too and punched him in the face for this one. Margin of victory between 1.001 and 2 seconds, 3.5 to 1 on this one. Now listen, this one was one of those things where at first that's where it was. It hung around about a 2-second margin for a lot of these guys. Then late in the race, after all the pit stops, Byron opens up like a 4 or 5 second lead. And I was like, well, screw this one. And then all of a sudden, Christopher Bell starts gaining. And I'm like, oh, this one has a chance. Oh, this one has a chance. And then all of a sudden, Christopher Bell pulls within a half a second at the end of the. I'm like, I hate you, Christopher Bell. I want to punch you in the face. That's a half a second, man. Like literally, I think the margin of So the margin of victory. I have to pull it up because I had it on the other one. But again, I was watching this go and I was watching him close the gap, and I was like, I said, Chris Bell's got to close this gap. Chris Bell's got to close this gap. Chris Bell starts closing the gap. Margin of victory, 0.692 seconds. I am 1,000% pissed off that this did not cash. Because I mean, that was literally within the last straight or the last high speed part before crossing the finish line. Because he was at about 1.3, and then all of a sudden got down to 0.8, and then back up to 1, and then to 0.6. So I was like, I'm done.
Yeah, this was you could apply for this one for the bad beats segment on VSiN with the SGP show, because just rough.
Yeah. Dos Flacco saying Cody was the violent purging stage of Hayusaka trip. Is that like
I think it's ayahuasca. I think that's
ayahuasca.
The Aaron Rodgers stuff.
Oh yeah, that's right. Richmond grounded stage and a woosha and chill.
Outrights, Rod. I had Tyler Reddick 5-1. He looked good in practice, I guess.
He looked confused at the end of the race. I
mean, like, the green flag dropped on the race, and like immediately jumps up to second place, and like I was like, okay, here we go. Like, he's gonna have the lead by lap 2 and just run away with this, and then he didn't, and then he fell back, and then he never. I mean, like, he ends up a solid day, right? He ends up in 5th place, but for what was expected of him, very disappointing. And at 5-1, it stings to bet someone that. I don't know. I got to stop betting now, like the favorite of the race, because I always do it wrong, Rod. The weeks I don't do it, he wins. The weeks I do it, they never win. I don't know what to do there. But Ross Chastain at 16-1 looked like a really good bet. Again, it's not for the pit crew late. Maybe that one cashes. Would have been nice, but Daniel Suarez at 20-1. Probably could have spent my money better somewhere else. So we already talked about him earlier, but very disappointed in Mi Amigo this week.
Yeah, I'm disappointed that AJ Allmendinger must have carried the disappointment from his Saturday race into Sunday. So definitely not happy about that as well. My brother told me I need a refill. I do need a refill. I'm actually out of this, but unfortunately, live show can't get up. But we're good to go here. Maybe
if you need me to talk about SVG for a few more minutes, Rod, while you get a refill.
We need listeners, Cody. I feel like if we just bag on him for bagging's sake, we're gonna lose everybody. So let's move on to the Xfinity race. Oh I guess we're gonna have to talk about it.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about the Xfinity race, Rob.
Let's talk about the Xfinity race, Cody. I was okay with it. I liked it for what it offered.
I'd have been a lot more okay if SVG didn't wreck Hill at the end and he would have cashed these big bets for us. But
yeah, there's a little bit of animosity there as well. There was only 4 cautions in this. Obviously, 2 of those stage breaks, only 2 for cause. But there were a lot
those 2 were at the end, right? Because we went to double overtime.
Mm-hmm.
So we had one to send us to overtime with 4 laps to go, and then 1 in overtime. So yeah, it was a clean race up until that point.
Yeah, and then that one, obviously, with a couple of laps to go, took out a pretty decent chunk of folks in that one, including the 43, the 42, the 07, the 29, and the 98. But yeah, I mean, there was a lot of action to be had up and down this one, and again, the stage breaks obviously added to the intensity and the strategy, and again, it's not like we didn't say he was going to run well. In this race in particular, we said he had a better shot of doing this than he did Sunday. It's just we didn't necessarily think he was going to finish because of inexperience. Yes. So we'll rest our case there because we didn't have any. We only had 1 bet against him. So in this one, but
we had 2, but that's okay.
Oh yeah, it was 2. Yeah, you're right. But anyways, like I said, overall, it was a great race, and I think for me, I would like to see more of this.
Yeah, it was, and again, masterclass by SVG. Like, he was the best car out there on Saturday. I don't think that's any question. It's funny. Kyle Larson ends up being, qualifying the fastest, sits on the pole, has to start in the back because of they had to change a part or something, and then kind of lucks into the win at the end by 2 guys taking each other out, which we talked about could happen. How many times has it happened before, Rod? First and second place in the Xfinity race, and Kyle Larson's been there before. Ty Gibbs and William Byron at Watkins Glen battling it out at the end, take each other out. Boom, Kyle Larson slips through, wins the race. So it's happened before, happened again. But Rod, they keep giving us Austin Hill at plus money for top 5s, and Austin Hill just does his thing. 5-1 or 3-1 plus 310 for top Chevy or for top. Wow. Okay, let's try this again. Austin Hill top 5 plus 310. Ends up in second place. I mean, had a chance to win there at the end. I'm trying to remember before that first caution. I think he was running. Wasn't he in fifth place? I think he was already cashing this bet specifically.
Yeah, he was there.
So, yeah. But again, finds his way there at the end. Then you end up with the chaos at the end, and he ends up taking advantage, almost winning this race. Top Chevrolet 8-1 would have cashed. But again, SVG kind of paying Hill back, and you can't blame him. I was a little pissed off right away and said some things that I maybe didn't mean in the Discord. But, he's going to pay him back. That's how it goes. But Kyle Larson obviously slips through Cash's top Toyota or top Chevy. So unfortunate there. But again, it's all about the value. And if you'd have gave me SVG to top finishing Chevy at 8-1, Rod, I would have taken it because it would have been a good bet. But Austin Hill top 5. It's just the bet, the gift that keeps on giving. We'll continue to bet it each and everywhere that they offer it. And so close on the top Chevy. So again, Austin Hill just a gnat's hair away from giving us a huge day.
Yeah, it would have been a fantastic day if that were the case. I had Ty Gibbs over Kyle Larson, which again, for most of the day was cashing Ty Gibbs. One of those guys. He only led at I think one point in this race. He only led one lap the entire race. He led lap 45. That was the only lap that he led. But that 54 was beating the 17 rather for so much of the race. And then it just, I don't know. Ty started third, ends up 24th in the whole scheme of things. It's just so frustrating. Like this was one where I don't know. Maybe it wouldn't have cashed overall.
Was this? I think this was cashing before the caution with 4 to go, wasn't it?
I believe so.
I feel like Larson was. I know JDK has this very well documented. So if you're still in here, if you've not turned it off already, you could tell us where he was because I know he was very much kept up on that. But I feel like Gibbs was running. And I mean, Gibbs was top 5 at the end of this until that last overtime, and he kind of got punted. I think SVG might have been part of that too, but into turn 1 there, and obviously didn't end up with a great finish. But I mean, I think Gibbs was definitely the better car overall on the day. Larson found his way up there, had the fresh tires at the end, all that stuff. But he needed the chaos. And again, Rod, these next couple of bets we cashed because of that caution, and this bet we didn't cash because of that caution. So it can go both ways, and that's just how it falls sometimes. So I had AJ Allmendinger over SVG at -140. I had Ty Gibbs over SVG at -120. Look, SVG ran the race of his life. It was great. It was good. And he was much better than these guys throughout the day. Part of the reason, again, for taking this, I thought that those guys would be better than him, yes. But you've got to take into account just the lack of experience he has in these series in particular. It's not the V8 supercars. I know he's raced here before. I know all this stuff. But it was thinking he wasn't going to finish. And I know he crossed the line in third place or second place, wherever the hell he crossed the line. I think it was actually second place, but then he gets the 30-second penalty because he cut the course because he made a mistake at the end under pressure. Just was kind of the point of fading him. So again, I thought he was going to do very well in this race. He did. He exceeded my expectations. It was very impressive. Am I going to take a bunch of head-to-heads against him in the Xfinity series next time we get to a road course? I don't think I am, Rod, because I saw enough to be scared off of that, and I don't think it's going to be an easy moneymaker. So will I continue to probably bet against him in the Cup Series outside of Chicago? Yes, I will after seeing what I saw today. But again, that was the one mistake out of the race, yes. But where did he finish? Because that's all the books care about. Also, on this note, if you had it on DraftKings and they graded this a loss, they reversed that for some people. So make sure you reach out to support because they understood they were wrong. It was funny because the rules state that, they don't do post-inspection changes or whatever. But this obviously was not post-inspection. It was done right after the race finished. And the fantasy side of DK quickly changed it, which they have the same rules, but the betting side tried to grade it a loss. So make sure you're reaching out. Again, another reason to be in the Discord, because I think that conversation was had over there as well. But make sure you're paying attention and reaching out to the books, because they will try to fuck you over if they can sometimes. So again, we got lucky on these, but how many times did we not get lucky I mean, even on the Austin Hill ones here just a minute ago, we got unlucky because he got bumped on the last lap when it ended that way. So you end up on both sides sometimes. This did work out. Am I going to do this one again? Probably not, because of what I saw. And SVG earned that right in the Xfinity series, at least for now, I think.
Indeed. I got unlucky on this next one, too, and that was Chandler Smith. I took him in a head-to-head over Jesse Love. Look, at the beginning of this, Chandler Smith started 4th and Jesse Love started 14th. And, I mean, Jesse Love, God, that guy was not necessarily anywhere near anywhere until the end of the race. He just methodically, wasn't in the top 10 in either of the end of the stage cautions. Just was a guy that was outside of everything. And then next thing you know, all of a sudden there he is contending for a top 10 and then contending for a top 5. And I'm like, where the hell did this guy come from? And so look, I love Love. I've bet on him on several occasions over the course of the first few races of the season. I didn't pick him this time because obviously road course experience. Chandler Smith, the much stronger driver on these tracks, much more experience. Chandler Smith's only like 4 days older than Jesse Love at this point, but has a better car, has a better everything right now. Chandler Smith got caught up in a little bit of nonsense. I think it was either him that got caught up or he made a mistake or something happened, and he fought his way back up to that 8th place finish. He had to charge his way back up through the field. And so he did. Whereas Jesse Love, like I said, honestly, I couldn't even tell you where he came from at this point because there's so much that went on between yesterday and today that I can't remember where Jesse Love came from. And unfortunately, just this one didn't cash. But it started out with legs and it started out looking good. Just didn't hold up.
Yeah, and this was one where on the other side of the chaos, it just didn't pan out for you. And again, we'll take the ones that did. We're not going to get the ones that didn't. Riley Herbst's top 5. This was a build for chaos bet 7-1. And I mean, it was a play for chaos bet, right? He ends up staying out in the second stage to win it, get that playoff point, which is probably a good thing he did because he ends up wrecked real bad. And just him sitting on the car or like leaning up against the car with his legs crossed and his arms folded, just waiting for the people to come get him. It was like, how sad. It made me very sad. But Herbst is a guy, if we ever get him at 7-1 for a top 5, I'm going to take him because he's got a shot to put himself in position. We end up, Parker Kligerman gets a top 5. We'll talk about John Hunter in a second. He ends up with a top 5, which, again, how he ended up in the top 5 at the end of this day, you just built for chaos, Rod, and it didn't work on the Herbst side. It did work on the John Hunter side, who you had for a top 5.
Yeah, indeed. And that's exactly it. Switch jumping in. Love was lurking in the 9th to 15th spot all day. That's what I'm saying. He got some spots at the end with that thing. And then Lexi saying they like the race and then would have won the cut bet. I know. I apologize. I didn't get it up. I should have.
Yeah.
This one,
it was
the truck race. It's the truck race you were thinking of. That one was the one that. Yeah, this one had some wrecks in it for sure. JDK saying, and oil just pissing out of the bottom, making a mess of the track. And that was it. That was what happened. That was that first caution. So, but you're right. John Hunter Nemechek started 20th. I'm looking at the stage breaks.
Well, and he went to the back too, because like three of the 4 JGR cars had to start in the back. Gibbs was one of them. John Hunter, and I don't remember Chandler Smith. Maybe I don't remember who the other one was that went. What of the 2?
Well, to the back, Alfredo, Daniel Kaivat, Williams, Deegan, Larson, Creed, Gibbs, Nemechek, and Honeyman. So all those guys.
Chandler was the only one who didn't of the JGR guys.
Yeah. So anyway, so starting in the back, right? John Hunter did as well. But boy, you want to talk about a guy that just found his way to the front. Like he was not anywhere near the top 10 in either one of the stage at the end of the stages, but was just there. And next thing you know, you look up and there's John Hunter Nemechek, 3rd place, finishing a 6-1 for a top 5, and there he is.
I wonder what his top 3 number was.
Oh, I don't even know. That would have been great, right? But he was more than that. 6-1 was better than Dinger's 3.5-1 to win the race, and probably better than Larson's to win the race as well. So that's one of those bets again that you take it. I don't know how the hell it happened. I don't know where and what stars we were living under, but we'll take it.
And again, we're not just tossing out these long shot bets for no reason. I know that you can't handicap chaos, Rod, but you did, and it worked. So there you go. Your brother checking in saying he likes Riley Herbst and he's terrible. I don't know if you've watched the Xfinity series in the last half a year, but he's not terrible anymore. So don't worry about that. JDK had Sage Karam top 5, 9-1. He dropped that in the Discord. Great play, by the way. Karam is a very good driver. He ends up destroyed at the end of one of those as well, and he missed out on that because he should have cashed it. Karam was in the top 5 after that first wreck, and that would have been really nice for you. Ty Gibbs, top 3, plus 100. I definitely wasn't as impressed with Gibbs in the Xfinity race as I was in the Cup race, but I believe, I really feel like he was running third before that. When that 4-lap caution came out, but doesn't end up cashing.
Kligerman ruined his day. That's
yes,
right.
Kligerman and then Kligerman and Karam like talked to each other after the race meanly. I guess how you would describe that interaction. They didn't really fight, but they were both mad at each other. So there you go. But yeah, as far as Gibbs goes, I don't know if he's in the Xfinity series. I'm just gonna keep betting on him because he's the best guy out there, I think. And didn't happen today, or Saturday. But oh well.
Yep. I had the winning car number as even. I had winning car number under 16.5. Both of those untrue. I got hooked by Kyle Larson. He was in the 17, and that obviously is an odd car. Look, my money was on Dinger, and that was my outright at 3.5 to 1. I thought Dinger was going to win this race. I didn't think it was going to be close. He led 20 laps. Pit strategy screwed him in the end. A couple of bad cautions screwed him in the end. So Dinger finished his 10th. That's it. I'm not even going to try to justify it. I was way off on that one. Well, not way off.
You were way off. I mean,
off.
No, you were, and he was. I mean, again, SVG was looking really good, and Dinger was hanging with him for a while, and then SVG kind of ran away with it. But AJ had a chance. He kind of gets dumped at one of those late restarts and ruins his chance.
He was pissed. He was pissed because he was wondering what the crew did to his car. Did you hear that radio? He's like, "What did you do to my car?" It's like, yeah.
That's always what it is, right? So what'd you do to the car? But I had Sam Mayer top 5. I had also taken him to win. This one was actually looking pretty decent for a little while. He was up there in one of those last restarts, got shuffled back to 9th. So unfortunately, neither of these cashed. I had Gibbs plus 425 to win. Just talked about him. And then Austin Hill, Rod at 25 to 1 again. Pick one of the top 3 to win this race because they're probably going to do it, is what I said. And then you take these insurance bets because the numbers are good. Now, of course, SVG was going to win. He doesn't, but one of the big 3 does win in Dinger and Larson and Gibbs. And actually, was his number was right with those guys, wasn't he? So maybe it was take one of the big 4 that you like. So either way, you'd have hit that then. And you take these insurance plays because shit can happen. Things can happen. And if shit happens, I know you can't handicap chaos, but if shit happens and chaos happens, Austin Hill's going to be right there to pounce, Rod. And he was so fucking close to cashing this 25 to 1. That was SVG's revenge on me, I guess. So unfortunately, doesn't hit. But if you're getting Austin Hill at numbers like this, you've got to take him. Is he the best road course racer out there? Absolutely not. Does he put himself in the proper position? Did he almost win? Yes, he would have. It's just that's why you take these bets is to prep for the chaos in situations where chaos is more prone to happen. You don't prep for chaos every week. We're going to go to Richmond this week and prep for complete chaos. You might toss one out there like, hey, this guy, if he gets a little help, can do, and that's how we hit the Raja Karuth one. He was going to need some help, right? So that was going to have to happen to Kyle Busch, and he got the speeding penalty or whatever the deal. But like, you take bets because there is value on them. And of all of this, the SVG thing, everything, like, value is the biggest part of it because, yes, if Kyle Larson is 25 to 1 every week, I would just go bet on Kyle Larson 25 to 1, but he's not. That's why you can't bet on him every week. And so again, it's just a big balancing act. That's why we give these out so motherfucking close to cashing Austin Hill outright. Man, I was screaming at the TV on the last lap, but oh well, what do you do? At least we got the top 5 on him and cashed a few of these other bets.
Well, I was screaming at the TV when SVG passed Allmendinger. I was like, you got to be fucking kidding me. Let's expel the Xfinity race out of our memory then. And let's move to the Expel 225, the truck race.
Oh, I see.
Let's crank it all the way back to Saturday morning, if we can remember that, where it was much better on our betting cards. than this Xfinity race. So let's talk about that Expel. Corey Heim, it was Heim time, baby. He ends up winning that race, 31 laps that he led of the 42. Just a complete dominant performance by Corey Heim. And we'll talk more about him in a second, but some good runs by some good folks and some names that we talked about, Cody. I was very excited about bringing up all those names and actually seeing some of these guys actually come through for us. So let's start with where you were looking at first, though.
Yeah, in another race where a long shot almost gets it done for us, Rod. I did want to update you. I haven't had a chance to yet on the fantasy game against the NASCAR betting preview show. Rod, it was
Did we
a
take our
close
first
one.
L?
It was a nail biter. Well, we've actually had an L already at Atlanta, but that's a super speedway. It doesn't really count. We scored 278 points this week. The NASCAR betting preview show scored 277 points. So we beat them by 1 point, increased our lead by 1 point. So yes, that was a nice sweat, and we didn't burn any of our big dogs. I think we kind of saved them. So solid strategy call by us. Unfortunately, I don't think the trucks are racing this weekend, so it'll be a few more weeks before we go back to that. But Rod, I attempted to prep for chaos here. I attempted to have the piano fall out of the sky 2 weeks in a row, but apparently you can't handicap chaos, and I missed on these. I had Christian Eckes over Ty Majeski. I also had Ben Rhodes over Ty Majeski. They finished back-to-back in 7th and 8th. Rhodes and Eckes did, but of course Ty Majeski, 3rd place. There was fuel questions at the end, and that just seemed like the perfect piano to fall out of the sky and land in Ty Majeski's truck bed. Unfortunately, his fuel made it to the end, and I did miss out on both of these.
When, Cody? When are you going to see the light on Ty Majeski? I've been trying to tell you for the last 2 years that it's not always bad for Ty Majeski. I will hear no more Ty Majeski slander on this show ever again.
I would like to make an official statement on fading Ty Majeski. I will continue to do it. That is my statement. No questions at this time.
Man, I listen. I know how lucky it was that he had nothing happen to him yet. So, and then I had nothing on the card about him either. So that's how confident I was that he wasn't going to do well either. All right. Speaking of somebody that did well, hey, how about Special Agent Jack Hawksworth? Huh? Finished
this guy
in this race.
Showed up. What a race!
Yeah,
yes.
Fantastic for a day for him. Jack Hawksworth. We talked about him in that one Tricon truck, just being somebody that we just didn't think that was going to be on our radar, but all of a sudden was on our radar. I had him to win Group A, though, unfortunately, he beat Enfinger, he beat Carruth, he didn't beat Taylor Gray. I am so sad that Taylor Gray, which I loved to death, that I won another bet on Taylor Gray earlier, but I just didn't think he was going to get a second place finish on the day. Taylor Gray, second place finish on the day. Taylor Gray, though, starting 3rd. Like, can we just all agree now that we were right about Taylor Gray last year and how good he's going to be?
Yeah, we were right about him last year. We were right about him this week, Rod. JDK also had Hawksworth at top 5 at plus 600. So shout out to you. I had Taylor Gray top 5 plus 600. This one got hairy at the end with the fuel situation. He was one of them. His team actually had him or had told him to come pit, and he's like, no, I'm not going to pit. And I don't know if he made that decision or if they said fine, but yeah, man, Taylor Gray, a guy I've been on since day one, since before he was old enough to bet on in most places. And it's good to see it coming to fruition. And look, the thing on this was, hey, the road courses haven't always been there. He'd never finished better than 11th. So again, a situation where it's not all about the numbers, Rod, because he hadn't done it before, but he had been improving. He'd been improving. And we've seen it lately where he'd been improving and running better than he had before. You put all that together in the blender, 6-1. He ran up there all day long. So we did catch this one. I had Christian Eckes top 5, plus 140. A little disappointed in this. Eckes just didn't, again, he ends up in 8th place. Not a bad run, but didn't quite have the run that I had hoped and expected out of Eckes. So disappointed on that front, but the Taylor Gray part of cashing this at 6-1 obviously kind of wipes that one out and makes it all better.
Yeah, again, it was just such a fantastic run for him. So I was cheering for him all the way through.
Is he Andrew is he says Taylor Gray's racing Xfinity this week. Is he one of those Gibbs cars? Because I think he is running in some Gibbs cars, and if he is, Oh, buddy.
Watch out.
I am going to be. That's like two of my favorite things combining, and I will be all over that.
No matter what the odds are, Cody's all over it. So
I don't even care now.
get in the dock now. You've already claimed Christopher Bell for next week,
Yeah.
so you might as well just get in the dock.
Maybe we'll see what his odds are, but I'm claiming all JGR cars for both races, Rod. So
Okay.
I hope that you can find some Chevys to bet on.
I'm sure I can. Speaking of Taylor Gray, I took him over Stuart Friesen. This was a no-brainer. Look, Taylor Gray, we talked about him already. He started third. Stuart Friesen started in 13th place. Ended up 20th on the day. I mean, Stuart Friesen led 2 laps, so under the cycle, the pit cycles, right? That's where he led those laps. But there was no way Stuart Friesen was keeping. He stayed out. Actually, he actually stayed out too. He stayed out long. He tried to run long, and then eventually put himself back into the fray. So, yeah, I mean, who cares? This one was never going to catch. I love you, Stuart Friesen. We're going to have some Molson together, but I'm telling you right now, it's just not. It wasn't in the cards for you.
Friesen had a few minutes where he sort of looked all right, and then tried the strategy play. Obviously, it didn't work out for him. But yeah, this was a great call by you on taking Taylor over him. Couple of comments on Connor Zilich. Switch saying Zilich trying every way possible to lose a race. And then your brother also, yay trucks. Zilich could have tried harder to lose that race. Those guys echoing the same thing there. And yeah, and that's Rod. I don't want to compare him to someone else, but lack of experience maybe is what caused that. I caught a little bit of the Zilich fever, tried to get in on him. I took him top 3 at plus 220. Roddy ends up finishing 4th place. So really, not a bad bet by any means there. He looked fast. I mean, he comes out really good. He ends up sitting on the pole, cooks it into turn 1, and then I said in the Discord, like, that's why you don't bet on these guys, because that's what happens. Now he rebounded nicely, ends up with a good finish. There's, I think it was Jordan Bianchi was saying, somebody that he trusts and everything, a legend of the sport or whatever, was saying he's going to be a future champion in the Cup Series and all of that. I think Kevin Harvick kind of discovered him when he was watching Keelan. This kid's only 17. He comes in, he sits on the pole, he runs a good race, all this. Now it's a road course, and that's kind of his specialty. Like at one point, he had F1 aspirations. Does that translate to the ovals? He's got a lot of oval experience as well, so we'll see. But this is potentially a kid that you're going to be hearing a lot about in the next few years, a la the Corey Himes that we said you're going to be hearing about them a lot. Sammy Smith has maybe not panned out as much as I said he would. Jesse Love, another guy you're going to continue to be hearing about, right? Zilich could be one of these next guys, so going to be a guy to continue to watch and keep an eye on. Also, I am notorious saying Friesen went around so much I thought he was driving in a washing machine. He did spin out like 15 or 20 times in that race, I think. Just a rough day for Stuart Friesen.
Yeah, Friesen definitely a tornado for sure. All right, I had Lane Riggs as a top 5. And again, I told you my only handicap is he's driving that 38. Well, guess what? Lane Riggs, no Zane Smith. He starts 8th, which, right outside of the top 5. You think, oh, great, 38 truck's about to get it done. But, I mean, it didn't take long for him to fall back and fall completely back. Lane Riggs ends up finishing in 27th place, not even on the lead lap. I will never do that again. Sorry to all you guys out there that even tried to tail it. I hope you didn't. I hope you faded me on that one because that was a horrible.
JDK, are you sure they're not going to have Mazdas in the Cup Series in the future? You don't know that. So,
no.
Next up, Rod, I tried to handicap for chaos as I've been instructed this weekend. You're not able to handicap for chaos, and it didn't work out, but it really wasn't that far off from working out. I tossed out Lawless Allen top forward, Carter Fardich top forward. Fardich was 25-1. Allen was 60-1. Allen actually looked pretty good. He started 20th, which is about where you expect him to be. He was running a decent race, ended up having a mechanical issue. So I believe that absolves me of all wrongdoing since it was a mechanical issue on his part with the rear gear going out. But for Fardich, he ends up in 21st, which is, again, kind of what you expect from the guy. And the hope was just that the small group of Fords, only being, 7 in this race, would finish behind him. Only 2 Fords beat him, or 3 Fords, I guess. But Jeske ends up 3rd and rode 7th, but then Garcia is 14th, and then Fardich was the next one back in 21st. So, again, you probably need a little bit more chaos to happen than did happen at the end of this one. But that's why you just take some stabs in these long shots. Didn't pay off, but again, for what you were looking for, you just didn't quite get it, and that's how it goes.
It is how it goes. The same with
Also,
Wallace Allen,
our
right?
guy Phil over on the NASCAR betting preview show had brought up Wallace Allen, which always makes me feel better when I then tune into their show and hear them talk about the same long shot. I'm like, yes, I'm not the only one who saw that.
Yeah, and Lawless, again, that was a fun one, and I had thought I'd taken him. I think in I don't remember what I had set him on either, but I was high on him as well. Unfortunately, yeah, that didn't come through. I had Chastain as the top Chevy. Stupid Zilich screwed that one up. Actually, Chastain kind of screwed that one up because Chastain was not ever going to win this race. I'm telling you, this is why we tell you it is not a slam dunk when Cup guys come down to this series. Chastain
we
was
have
not
in the truck series more than anything. We have just nailed. I mean, we have repeatedly said that, and it has been the correct thing
every time.
Man, it just these Cup guys have not. Has a Kyle Busch won at Atlanta, I think, right?
Yeah, but
that's a super speedway. Outside of that, the Cup guys haven't done much, and I mean, they've lost these races. So
yeah. Well, Chastain didn't get the top Chevy. It was Zilich. So good on you, Connor. I'm glad you did it. But look at Ross Chastain finished one spot behind him. It was 4th and 5th. So it very easily could have been it, but Chastain was too far behind Zilich to make a run for it at the end anyway. So screw it. Don't care. Hate that bet.
So close. Andrew was checking in and saying Riggs good at a short track of Martinsville. I think that is the next race for the Truck Series guys, which, again, a place that I'm hoping these bad finishes will put him at longer odds because love seeing that. Switch saying somehow a hood flying off, not the weirdest thing to fall off a truck this year. And of course, your brother says, I don't care what anyone says. Marco Andretti's rear end housing won the truck race. I've actually seen that happen before at a dirt track. But not something I've ever seen in the Cup Series or in the NASCAR National Series, right? So that was pretty crazy. So we had no bets on Andretti, but very, very strange to see just the entire back end roll off of that and whatever. So I had Nick Sanchez top 5 plus 225. This one was looking good later in the race. I think he ended up spun on one of those last restarts. And that cost Sanchez, but he ends up he started 4th, so he was up there early, right? But ends up finishing in 18th after some chaos. So unfortunately, it doesn't cash.
No, it does not. But my next 2 cash because I pretty much just called my shot. I was Babe Ruth pointing out into the outfield where I said the winning truck would be under 18.5 at plus money. And that 18.5, I specifically said, I believe it's going to be Corey Heim at 3-1. I said, I know it's chalky. I know it's a favorite. I know it's one of the guys that, at 3-1, if you don't hit it, you're going to be pissed because you're like, oh man, that was too short of odds to take a stab on. But guess what? At the end of the day, Corey Heim started 2nd, led the most laps in this race, and it wasn't even close. Corey Heim is good. I don't think we need to harp on that any longer.
Rod, I'm disappointed in myself.
I know you didn't
apologize to everyone. I mean, Corey Heim's my guy. First of all, he drives a Toyota for whatever reason. Big Toyota guy here, and I don't know why, because I always bet on the Toyotas. I love betting on the Toyotas. Love betting on Corey Heim. Why did I pass on him, Rod? I couldn't tell you. I didn't like the number, and I was very wrong. He dominated this race and really was the best truck throughout the day. Again, when I pointed out how weak of a field it was when it came to road course racing, just should have not made that mistake. Unfortunately, the only road course on the Truck Series this year, so no chance to redeem myself later, but I'll probably bet on Corey Heim this weekend or next time they race anyways. So there is that. I had Tyler Ankrum 6-1. Pretty disappointed in Ankrum. Not a guy that I back. Usually leave him for you, Rod. He was running decent for a while. Ends up 24th at the end of the day, but was he ever going to win this race? I don't think so. So kind of a bad bet there. Eckes at 10-1. We talked about him. Again, not really impressive, but the one I was impressed with, Rod, Taylor Gray, 50-1, came so close to getting Corey Heim. This was similar to the Xfinity Series race where Heim had kind of run away with it, right? Gray was just settling in 2nd. We get the late caution. Okay, here we go. There was that fuel situation. Maybe he wasn't going to have enough. Corey Heim started shaking his truck like he was running out, and I got so excited, Rod. I was about to jump off the couch screaming because I was hoping he was going to be the one to run out. Gray was going to pass him. But man, 50-1 again. We don't take these long shots for no reason, Rod. There's a method to the madness, and oh man, to have a 50-1 and a 25-1 finish second place this weekend, and then a 16-1 be leading before a 3-second pit stop under green flag, just rough. But hey, that's how it goes. Can't always be on the winning side unless you're betting against SVG. So solid weekend overall.
You just wanted that parting shot. That was all that
I had to
was.
throw one more in
You
there.
had to throw
And
one
then to give JDK his credit too, he says, if Fartich only takes tires on a pit stop, does he pass gas?
Where's my? Oh, wait.
pretty
I've got
good dad
something.
joke.
I've got something for that. Wait, hold on. Where's my? Here we go. Ready? I got here, and here it is. There you go.
Yes, beautiful.
There you go, JDK. I got you for that one. All right. Well, then let's go ahead and put a bow on the Circuit of the Americas. I just did look. It was a great weekend of racing. I mean, say what you will, but we had plenty to talk about, and it was, there was stuff to talk about up and down the card. There was stuff to talk about just before the card altogether. Obviously, like I said, I didn't know that SVG would be that polarizing. So catch us here again before the next road race where we have a nice heated discussion about him again. So yeah, I love it. But yeah, coming up next for the Cup guys and the Xfinity guys, it will be Richmond, and then the truck guys take a week off as well. Their next race will be at Martinsville on April 5th, the Long John Silver's 200. And of course, as we always do, Cody, we'll be here to talk about every single series that NASCAR has to offer and then some.
You got it. We sure will. Yeah, Sad Trucks are taking this week off, and then we kind of start spreading the races out. Only 2 races in April for them, unfortunately, but all 3 series the next week in action. And this will be a Sunday night race as well for the Cup Series, 6 o'clock in the Central Time Zone on Easter Sunday. So that's going to be a lot of fun. So yeah, it looks like we might get our first Xfinity Series DFS focused show this week, since we don't have a truck series show. And we got this one knocked out on Sunday. It is Sunday. So maybe we'll be back tomorrow with the F1 recap. Max Verstappen didn't win, Rod. So some big news over in the F1 world.
God, I can't wait for that.
So make sure you check out that, because we actually had a pretty decent weekend for betting. And JDK says, on to Richmond, where we can all be at peace. Yes, hopefully we can all agree on things this week.
At least there won't be nearly as I hate it when mom and dad fight. I can't do it. All right. Well then, Cody, let's send everybody away. It is, of course, still Saturday or Sunday on our neck of the woods, but it is Monday morning elsewhere. So we'll let everybody go to bed. And if you're listening to this tomorrow morning, hey, you got an early episode. So enjoy your commute to work.
Yeah, and to go back to, I think your brother had commented at the beginning, didn't know you did Sundays. We do when it works. We both happen to be home this evening, so we couldn't do it earlier, but got to it now. So we try to when we can and get it out there for you. So enjoy on your Monday morning commute. Thanks for sticking around with us tonight. We appreciate it. Long one, but there's a lot of stuff to talk about from this weekend. So let's get back to Richmond and win some money this next week. Rod, follow me over on the X at Husker_Zeeb. You can find all my work over there. If you're into the March Madness stuff, the basketball stuff, got more articles coming out this week for that. So yeah, find them over there, and see you tomorrow.
Indeed. Follow me on Twitter at RJ Villagomez, where I'm Rod Neutral Party Villagomez. Link in the bio, everything I got going on, whether it's here, Sportsbook Review, got some WrestleMania stuff. I got some NASCAR stuff coming out this week for them. And then, of course, the back road. Check out Seth and Elliott. They got you held down for Richmond coming up this week. All right, guys, everybody, let's take a deep breath. We'll come back at it and charge forward for the next week of racing. And until then, let's go racing and let it ride.